Right. Right. And that kind of segues into one of my questions I wanted to ask you, about platform, about how to get word out about your books and stuff like that. Because obviously you're the highest profile person I've ever had on this podcast. So you might have some different tactics with radio and being well known. But do you have any tips, advice for new or beginning authors about, godly ways they can promote their work?
The first thing really, and to this day it remains the same, is as I'm on my knees asking God to get his message out. I think of Matthew 3 and Matthew 17, where the first account Jesus is being baptized, the second account is the transfiguration. But the voice comes from heaven, "This is my son whom I love, with whom I'm well pleased," and it's added Matthew 17, "Listen to him." So that's always the deepest thing in me. If God is with me and God has birthed this message, that he will help get it out, that he will say to the world, listen to that person, listen to Steve, listen to Joe, listen to Samantha, listen to them, and it will get out in that way. So that remains my number one focus. And I've worked with major publishers, and the thing just didn't go where we expected it to go. And then when we kind of reconfigured it, yeah, I had one publisher years ago. They insisted on a title I didn't like. They insisted, but I wanted to get the book out. I agreed to the whole thing. It went nowhere, absolutely nowhere. I ended up buying the books back from them, putting it out with the title that I wanted, and the thing absolutely took off. They made me leave content out initially, etc. So I've seen it where just getting the right message out the right way is what caused it to take off. But number one, really, really pray. The God that moved on you to write is the God that can open the doors and get the book distributed. The second thing is do your best to be edifying people on a regular basis through social media and other means that you have. You've got a podcast. Others can easily do that. It could be a blog. It could just be Twitter feed. Could be Facebook or Instagram, whatever. But sow into other people on a regular basis. If God's gifted you with a message, with insight, pour that into people on a regular basis, and that will promote itself. The next thing, things will begin to increase. The interest will be there. More people will share what you have. So, for example, we work hard, my team and I, to be constantly putting out quality content. So with that content, we now have an increased audience. And with that increased audience now, when a book comes out, instead of 100 people finding out about it, maybe it's 1,000, or maybe it's 10,000, or maybe it's 50,000, and they can hear right off the bat. So constantly be sowing into others with the message. Now you say, well, do I have an ulterior motive? Do I just do it to build my audience? Well, if that's the case, then the message is not that important to you. If the message is really important to you, you want to get it out, and you want people to hear it, and you know it's important. So it's twofold. You're saying something, and you're increasing your audience. And then there are other things you can do to increase the audience. For example, if you have good graphics and you post them on Facebook, those tend to be shared more. Perfectly ethical. There's nothing wrong about doing it. It's not like you're putting a porno picture up to draw people in and then tell them I've got this great Christian book on sexual purity, God forbid. But you're saying, hey, here's a great quote on this. It's not mine, but I like it. Here's the graphic, attribute it to the right person. Let's put it up because graphics get more attention. So if you can find out what works well in each different social media, and then when a book is coming out, begin to announce it in advance. If you're writing an article, if you have a blog, always identify yourself as that author of thus and such, coming out thus and such month. Do that. The other thing that you can do is start to publish little excerpts, or here, to read this opening chapter free. Click here. I just got it from a well-known medical doctor whose nutritional plan we follow. It's called a new book called The End of Heart Disease by Dr. Joel Furman. Download the opening chapter free. It's like, man, awesome. So if you have the ability to do that, and then once it's out, just ask everybody, hey, if you like this book, write a review. If you're blessed by it, post a review. You do not want to solicit dishonest reviews. In other words, somebody writes a negative review attacking your book. I get that with some of my controversial ones. All my books are controversial, so I get that a lot. And that bothers you because it's a one-star review from someone who didn't read the book, who just hates your guts. But you don't want to ask someone to write a 5-star review who hasn't read it, or just ask them to do it. So you always want to be honest. Hey, if the book has blessed you, take a moment to write a review. And those reviews really help get the book out. It's practical. Look, I go to order something online. I'm not familiar with it. What do you look at? The ratings, right? Okay, 3,000 reviews of this product, 4.5 stars. That's good. And then I'll immediately read the 1-star ones just to see if there are any flaws in the thing, to double check.
Right.
So that's helpful as well. It goes a long way.